I even begin with this week's episode of Death Parade, which was brilliantly done, both in the storytelling and in the animation, and in the introduction of new characters and concepts of how the Death Parade world works. This show's momentum is like a freight train of awesomeness. There's a lot to cover in this week's episode, so let's just start from the beginning. The episode opens up with the black-haired woman having a dream, which is done in the style of a children's storybook. And it's about this young boy, Jimmy, who meets this girl who's out on this lake with her dog, which is frozen, and he runs outside to play with her, and he ends up falling into this ditch and ends up getting saved by this girl. Suddenly, she's awake, and I'm guessing right here that this is actually this black-haired woman's backstory, and they just haven't revealed what that is yet. She then goes to the Quindecim bar to go for another job when two more people are going to come in and play a game. This is when the episode almost seems like it's just going to be just like all the others. Except that Decim notices that something is just not quite right about the two guests that come in. There's this one big guy and there's this one little kid. The big guy is just pissed off and he suddenly has these weird memories. It's almost as if he's been at the Quindecim bar before. While watching this the first time, my first thought was maybe he was a soul that already went to the Quindecim and was reincarnated and went back. It's actually something completely different from that altogether. The guy at the bar starts freaking out. He picks up the kid and holds him hostage with a pair of freaking chopsticks when suddenly Decim has to put him up against a wall with his weird razor wires when suddenly both the black-haired woman and that guy get knocked out. And the kid actually reveals himself as this other arbiter known as Ginti. He's the red-haired character that you see in the intro, and Ginti is awesome. He's just a balls-to-the-wall, badass character, and I did not expect an action scene to just come out of nowhere, but it was really short, but damn was it well animated. I especially love how Ginti has these weird little flasks that he pulls out, which has this water comes out, which you can use as projectiles, but Decim blocks those with his weird razor wires and sends them flying right back at him. But the scene where he just starts charging him and jumping all over all of the furniture was just so intensely well done. This was definitely the most action-packed episode of Death Parade. It gets even better when Nona comes in and just lariats the hell out of Ginti and puts him on the ground, and that's because Nona is the manager. They actually sort of get into the hierarchy of Quindecim in this week's episode as well. But at this part of the episode, this is when you realize something's not quite right, and apparently these two people that came in, this was all actually a plan with Nona. This was a test for Decim, and the test was, when these two people came in, he actually didn't get the memories for the child. And whenever you don't get the memories for someone, that's a big problem. But why was Ginti even attacking Decim in the first place? It might have something to do with their rivalry, or the fact that the black-haired woman is allowed to work with him. They actually reveal why she's around, and when she actually came to the Quindecim for the first time, she immediately knew that she was dead, so she decided not to play any of the games. So what they did was, they erased her memories, and little by little she's going to regain them. However, she hasn't gotten any of them back yet. That's what I'm guessing is going on when she's dreaming. She's getting her memories back. And what's also kind of strange is how they're tying this into this weird children's book that Nona is also reading. And my theory is she was the one who erased her memories and turned them into the form of this children's book, and she's actually reading her memories, which I don't know why she's deciding to keep them from her, but it all goes back to this weird hierarchy in the Quindecim, which involves the Arbiters trying to become God. That seems to be the premise of the show, at least. I'm not really sure. It's still kind of confusing because there's this really great scene where Nona is playing pool with this old guy by the name of Oculus. You can see him in the intro of the show, and in this week's episode, they are playing on the coolest pool table I have ever seen. Holy crap. They're basically playing pool with the planets. The entire table itself is the galaxy, and all the balls are the planets, the sun, the moon, and it's just a really nice metaphor for really what they are and how they're actually controlling everything. And they seem to be in direct competition with each other, and there seems to be a little bit of a rivalry between them as well. And then there's another character introduced at the very end of the episode by the name of Castra, who is this really awesome character who has this like lion skull that she wears as a helmet, and she's sitting in this room where she's able to observe the entire Earth, and it literally just looks like a map. and she can actually see everybody dying at the same time, and it's all represented by little droplets of blood falling in the room, and they're all falling into champagne glasses. It's a really crazy scene, and it just looks so atmospherically awesome. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Death Parade? Holy crap, there was so much to take in this week's episode. I could not do it justice. This is one that you just have to see for yourself. It was a really good episode because it really just seemed like it was going to be just another by-the-numbers episode of Death Parade, but they really pulled a fast one on us, and they did so with some amazing animation sequences. I'm just loving that they're finally showing the other characters and talking about them a little bit more, and getting to learn more about the black-haired woman, whose name might be Chavot, at least I think that's how you pronounce it. And that's assuming she actually is that character in the storybook. And it was also kind of interesting out at the beginning of the episode, whenever they're setting up the game, they actually had a picture from that storybook right there front and center for her to see. Maybe just another way to sort of jog her memories a little bit so that Decim could actually perform the final judgment on her. But that brings us to frickin' Ginti. Ginti is awesome. He's just a real gruff character, completely different from Decim, and he's just awesome and has a lot of style. That action scene came out of nowhere, but it was welcome and it looked amazing. Definitely one of the highlights of the entire series, and it really made this episode probably my favorite one thus far. That with the whole twist about this actually just being a test for Decim, I thought that was really clever. And, you know, they go over the whole concept of the fact, you know, that Nona has been a manager. She's been that way for about 82 years, they say. So, obviously, these people live for a very long time, whatever they are. And a lot of people might be in direct competition to become God. I don't know how long that takes. And even if God exists within the confines of this universe, because the old guy Oculus says he doesn't exist anymore. So, there's just so many questions and barely anything even still revealed in this week's episode. But I really can't wait to see what they're going to do with the next one, because they are going to be switching things up a little bit, because it looks like we're actually going to see what's going to be going on in Ginti's bar. And his is completely different from Decim's. It looks like it's going to have its own style. We get to see he has his cute little cat there, and he also has his assistant, who I'm guessing is an arbiter, but maybe they're also going to try and introduce another human who is similar to the black-haired woman, maybe to try to bring that dynamic to Ginti. I don't know if that's the direction they're really going with it for, but I'm just spitballing here. That's what I'm getting from this one. But this week's episode was just amazing. So well done. They revealed so much in this week's episode, and it was just great. Great animation, awesome storytelling, amazing writing, great musical score. The art direction, just on the pool table and where they were playing, looked amazing. Really great stuff, guys. Check out this series. This is already easily probably in my top 5 favorite anime of all time. It's really in the top 5. It's that good. I'm adored with this show. I love it. I hope it never changes, and I hope it goes out with a bang, because it's only going to be about 12 episodes long, and we've already gone through a nice chunk of it, and they're just now already introducing like a lot of the key characters and concepts. But I'm excited. I'm really excited for Death Parade, guys. Please watch this show if you haven't. I'm giving this week's episode a 5 out of 5. It was amazing. Definitely the best show, I think, of this season. And probably the best show that I've seen in a long time. I think my favorite one since Kill La Kill. Just great stuff, guys. Kick ass! Thank you guys for watching my review. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And before you guys leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of Death Parade. What did you think about all of the revelations behind the world of the Quindecim? The new characters? Do you think the black-haired woman is actually the little girl in the story? Please tell me your comments and your theories in the comment section below. If you guys have not subscribed to our channel, you can do that by clicking on the channel icon right up here. I would highly recommend you do that, because then you'll be able to see all of our brand new anime and manga reviews as they are released, and our brand new podcast show. We just released episode 2, and you should definitely check that out at the very end of this video. You guys can also follow us on social media like Facebook and on Twitter.